Then it begins, and we meet Yuri, who tells us that in the mountains of our town, there are beings called Unchi, and to stay safe from them, the village is guarded from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. as the Unchi come out of their mountains at night. Now, at night, we are shown many children heading towards the mountain forests with a hunter named Petru. Yuri was among these children, and they all had rifles. Petru also gives Yuri a knife before she enters the forest. Please ensure you keep it with you securely. In the event that someone attempts to cause you harm, you have the means to protect yourself. Ultimately, we are introduced to the creatures known as Ochi, which resemble blue monkeys, joyfully engaging in playful activities. Then, following Petro's recommendation, a group of children initiates a fire in this location, while others set up traps to obstruct their path, and the remaining children commence hunting these Ochis. Abruptly, due to their actions, it seemed as though a calamity had befallen the world of the Ochis. They aimed to completely eliminate the interior and remove them from this vicinity to ensure their town remained safe. Throughout this entire mission, a creature known as Unchi unexpectedly rolled and bumped into Yuri. There was a mix of fear and innocence in its eyes, yet it bravely stood in front of Yuri because its child was trapped above in distress, and it needed to rescue it. Witnessing this, Yuri became emotional and resolved to assist by freeing the child from the trap. Just as she was about to rescue the child, one of Yuri's companions launched an attack on the Ochi mother. She sustained significant injuries and was subsequently removed from the scene. Nevertheless, her offspring became lost within the same dense jungle. By the following morning, he made his way back home accompanied by the children and commended everyone. They had performed admirably during the night, yet there was no room for complaints regarding their meal. Consequently, he advises all the children who came to learn grievances from him to exert more effort, much like the Ruberats who assaulted Mother Unchi the previous day. Shortly thereafter, at the dining table, Petrol made an appearance. Directly in front of the entire group, he reprimands Judy severely due to her inadequate performance during the hunt. Consequently, she departs in anger. She ventured into the forest to engage in sculpting, but then she heard a loud commotion. She approached to investigate, and discovered the same creature ensnared, the one its mother was unable to rescue. Upon seeing UD, it became frantic and began screaming even more loudly. To prevent UD from biting, Yuri inserted a stick into its mouth and released it from the trap. OG attempted to flee swiftly, but injured. Because of the injury, he couldn't even walk. So, Yuri, taking pity on him, hides him in her coat and brings him to her home. After bandaging the child, he realizes that Yuri is not his enemy, and a slight friendship begins to form between them. They even start playing together. But then, outside the others were practicing hunting, and the sound of gunshots reminded the little one of the previous day's incident. He started screaming in fear. Yuri tried to calm him down, but everyone outside heard it. While actively searching for the creature with a firearm, Ruber also arrived at the location and noticed Oche. Before he could harm it, the child stepped forward and Ruber said, "Listen, this is merely an innocent child. It poses no threat to us. It's simply separated from its mother. I just wish to reunite it with its mother, and I believe you possess enough compassion not to harm this innocent being." Upon hearing this, Ruber became somewhat emotional and lowered his weapon. Meanwhile, Yuri placed Ochi in her bag and made her exit through the window. Rupe refrains from disclosing this information to anyone. Even when his master Petro inquires, he firmly denies having witnessed Yuri. Consequently, the master began to grow increasingly concerned about Yuri's whereabouts. Upon entering Yuri's room, he discovered a note indicating her need to depart. Additionally, he noticed traces of blood and animal fur, leading him to the realization that Yuri was in peril. He proceeded outside and informed all the children that someone had abducted Unico, placing her in jeopardy. In response, all the children equipped themselves with weapons and boarded a vehicle, setting off towards the forest to rescue Yuri. They thoroughly searched every corner of the dense jungle, yet they were unable to locate Yuri. Meanwhile, it was revealed that Yuri had already made her way to a different town. Unico was extremely hungry, so she ventured into a general store where she was gathering some items when something accidentally fell out of her bag, catching the attention of many girls who saw the creature. They began screaming loudly. One girl even aimed a firearm at it with the intent to kill it, and in order to protect its life, Yuri had to conceal herself in the store's refrigerator. The creature, not comprehending any of this, continued to scream. She was using her hand to cover its mouth, and during this process, the creature bit her hand. This resulted in Yuri screaming loudly, which drew everyone's attention back to them once again. In order to save herself, she swiftly utilized a car to shatter the windows of the compact store and made her escape, thereby preserving her life. She noticed an automobile nearby. Fortunately for her, the vehicle had the ignition keys inside, and she drove off in it. The owner of the car chased after her, but she succeeded in getting away to the location where Yuri had been bitten by the creature. It was evident that the bite had caused her entire arm to swell significantly, and blisters began forming, with her hand turning entirely blue. Her hand was gradually turning a shade of blue. Beauty was experiencing extreme dizziness. In such a condition, she was unable to operate the vehicle properly and decided to pull it over to the side of the road. Master Petro was persistently searching for Yuri. As he drove past the road, he noticed the same accident vehicle that law enforcement officers were currently investigating. The officers discovered an artificial tooth inside, which Master Petro instantly identified as Yuri's. Consequently, he realized that Yuri was in the vicinity. After a period of time, we observe Yuri seated next to a river, and her entire body has transformed to a bluish hue similar to that of the leech. She realized that the venom was circulating within her system. Therefore, she captured several leeches from the water and positioned them on herself so they could draw out her blood. Nonetheless, the bite of this leech induced another significant transformation in her. She was now able to comprehend the leech's language. She could understand and converse in it fluently. While undergoing this experience, she is utterly astonished. Once she completely comprehends that she is now capable of understanding the language of the Oji, she begins to dance with immense joy. However, during her dance she stumbles and falls into a pit, which was, in fact, a trap that sealed from above. The unfortunate soul was left pondering when she might escape. Nevertheless, due to the fall, she sustained such severe injuries that it became challenging for her to even stand upright. Meanwhile, as they await her emergence, Oki proceeds to sit on a tree, and on the opposite side, the master. They also proceed in the direction of the dense jungle where, by observing the footprints, Unity discerns that Yuri is now even nearer to them. It is depicted that Yuri, who had previously fallen into a pit, is rescued by a woman who carries her on her back to her own home. As soon as Yuni regains her consciousness, she glances around and realizes that the woman who saved her life should indeed be called Mom. In fact, the woman was actually their mom. The pair inquires of their mom, "Mom, where is that child? The one from the heights? I need to take him to his mother. You know that I was able to comprehend his language, correct?" "It's no big deal," he said. "I was the one who taught you the language, Yuri." Now they pick up the excluded and save her, from which similar sounds were emanating. Hearing this, she tells the video, "Whatever happens, I need to reach that child and take him to his mom. I can't leave him abandoned like you left me." Here, we see that a rain-soaked Rube was sitting near Beauty's house, but he didn't know that Yuri was inside the same house. In the morning, Yuri's eyes open to the same faint sound, but she realizes it was the sound of her mom's fluid. As she continues her exploration, she discovers a location abundant with numerous books and extensive research that her mother had meticulously conducted. Her mother informs her that the creatures she is contemplating assisting are not deserving of such help. They harbor a deep-seated animosity towards humans and have been harboring this hatred for many years. The child you possess, you might succeed in returning it to its mother, but as soon as they detect the scent of humans on the child, they will reject it, isolate it, and might even end its life. So, what is the purpose of all your diligent efforts? Upon hearing this, Yuri, he wishes to, and he shouts loudly on his bone. He perceives that his mother is deceiving him, and she comments that a mother who is incapable of considering her own child, how could she possibly care about other people's children? Here, she scrutinizes the map meticulously crafted by her mom and discovers the secondary location of Ojis. After studying the route, she gets dressed, departs from her mom, gathers some food provisions, and then makes a decision to locate Ochi. When Yuri was departing, Rube noticed her and promptly informed Master Petro regarding her presence there. By the moment Master Petro arrived, Yuri was already absent from the house. Upon entering, they encountered Yuri's mother, and when they inquired about Yuri, she clarified that Yuri is her daughter. She had indeed been present but had departed to search for Ochi's child. She cautioned that if anything were to happen to Yuri, she would hold them accountable. As they exchanged these words, a heated argument ensued, escalating into a physical confrontation, which the children had to intervene to break up. They proceed inside and commence searching the residence, where they discover the identical map that Yuri had previously observed. From the map and the specific location of the item, they deduced that Yuri would have ventured there. Consequently, they also resolved to head there. Meanwhile, Yuri was diligently searching for that child in the dense forest for an extended period. She even calls out in the voice of Oji, but she becomes fatigued because she can't locate the child for a considerable duration. Exhausted, she reclines and begins weeping, and that's when Ucha perceives Yuri and calls out to her from his slumber. Seeing him, Yuri felt as if she had found a treasure. Overcoming her pain, she immediately holds on to him. In the midst of all this, night had fallen, and there she eats a little food, drinks some milk herself, and also gives some to the little one. Then she tells the little one in his own language that it is now night, but in the morning she will take him to his mother. They establish a modest campsite where they rest for the night. As dawn breaks, Yuri constructs a small raft, as she needed to traverse the river. Upon successfully crossing the river, they proceed to the opposite side of the mountains, which revealed a breathtaking world. majestic mountains adorned with quaint settlements. Within them, the hidden beings were concealed. The tall one accompanying Yuri calls out to his kin, who approach joyfully, but upon noticing Yuri, they all retreat back into their abodes. Observing this, Yuri realizes that her mother was correct when she mentioned that these people would never embrace her among them. When they see the child, they will never accept him. Just then, we see that Petro arrives here, with his entire team, and starts firing as soon as they arrive. Yuri didn't want anything else to be harmed here, especially the tall one who was with her, so she was trying to protect him from the chaos. That's when her raft capsizes, and she falls into the water. What prompted Petro to abandon Ochi and approach them? However, Yuri disregards him and swiftly swims toward a sizable automobile to make her escape. This vehicle was extremely perilous, yet Yuri remained unafraid of anything. Master Petro was determined to secure Yuri at any cost. Consequently, he resolved to venture into that garage personally. The house posed significant danger. The children's lives might be in jeopardy. Petro hurriedly navigates through the city in pursuit of Yuri, but he accidentally slips. He becomes ensnared in the logs, which were exceedingly heavy, instead of removing them. Instead of extricating himself, he became trapped within. Observing this, Yuri refrained from approaching the peril and attempted to shift the timber, but it was exceedingly weighty. She was unable to move it whatsoever, and at that precise moment, Ochi appeared and noticed Petro for the initial time. Petro also gazed into her eyes. Her eyes were pure and innocent. Witnessing this, for the very first time, it occurred to Mahatma that the beings we perceive so negatively are not entirely malevolent. Consequently, for the first time, he experiences affection for this Ochi and alters his perspective about causing them harm. In this scenario, Yuri makes another attempt to shift the log independently, and ultimately, with the collaborative efforts of both Yuri and Petro, they succeed in liberating Petro. Upon their arrival, it becomes evident that the children, who had been anticipating their return, sensed that something was amiss. They also board the vehicle via the raft of the cure, and subsequently, Yuri's mother arrives equipped with a firearm and a light, as she too needed to rescue Yuri. Eventually, Yuri and Petro are the pioneers to traverse the house and arrive at a new, stunning and... Upon their arrival at a particular location, they discovered that this place, while not inherently magical, possessed an enchanting quality that made it feel extraordinarily magical. They had never before encountered such breathtaking beauty. In this place, all the creatures emerged and observed the humans with curiosity. Petro and Yuri sensed that there was potential to enhance the relationship between themselves and these creatures. However, from behind, Petro noticed that the hunters were preparing to target the creatures with firearms, as they had been instructed previously. Petro attempted to intervene and halt their actions, but a child unexpectedly discharged a shot. Fortunately, the bullet did not strike any creature, instead, it impacted the mountain. However, driven by the fear instilled by that unexpected gunshot, all the creatures retreated to their respective homes. These creatures, now even more agitated and upset, needed reassurance. To manage the escalating situation, Yuri skillfully employs his fluid communication abilities and speaks to them, clarifying that these humans harbor no malicious intentions. They merely came to return one of their children. Upon hearing this explanation, the creatures gradually begin to relax. Subsequently, Yuri gently escorts the child back to his mother, and the child embraces his mother warmly. The profound bond and feeling between a mother and her child. The entire ambience transforms into an intensely emotional experience filled with sentiment. She glances back at her mother, who was also shedding tears, and now both she and her mother yearn to be close to one another and embrace. Ultimately, they have been reunited, and the connection between them has significantly improved. The film concludes at this point, depicting these two children joyfully united with their mothers.